What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and man, what a tough series that was in the Trop. The first series against the Tampa Bay Rays did not go well. The Red Sox were only able to win 1 out of the 3 games of this series, and that now puts them at 7-9 on the year. They have yet to officially win a series against a division opponent, having lost the series to the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and now the Rays so far. And what I normally do in these series breakdowns is I go over the offense as a whole throughout the series, the pitching as a whole, and if there's anything notable on defense, that as a whole as well. But this series was so miserable and so wacky and so wild that I feel like it's appropriate to go through every single game and talk about each one individually. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through every single game of this series, talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. But as always, before we get into that, do me a favor, if you have not already, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button. We are only about 50 total subscribers away from 1,000. If we could get there by the end of April, that would be awesome. Also, make sure you guys are hitting the like button on these videos as well. If you want to help out the channel, this is the best way to do that. Every like helps out these videos a ton and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Starting off with game 1, Michael Wacha gets the ball to open this series up, and he's been a pretty constant workhorse for this rotation in that 4 spot. He went I think he went 5 innings. He only let up 4 hits and 2 runs, and the 2 runs were 2 absolute shots by Wander Franco, so you can't even really blame Wacha for that. Wander Franco has just been a Red Sox killer ever since he's gotten up into the big leagues, and we have to deal with that for what, 10 more years? Not going to be fun, but all in all, Michael Wacha continues to look good, and I'm pretty excited about this pickup in the offseason as of right now. The offense actually did show up in game 1 too. We had a Devers bomb, and Devers looked like he kind of golfed this ball out. I love the fact that Devers can get to these balls and that he's a free swinger. So far, I'm loving Devers in 2022, but there's really no reason not to love Devers ever. Xander Bogaerts is officially out of the slump, in my opinion. I think everybody's opinion. He had 3 hits in this game, including a double. He also made a fantastic grab at shortstop. Yet another reason why we need to keep Xander Bogaerts on this team. Kike Hernandez also had a couple of hits in this one, and Kike's been kind of weird lately. He's been getting on base and he's been getting these hits, but it still doesn't look like he's fully ready to go. It still kind of looks like he's off at the plate. He's fouling up and popping up a lot of pitches that he would normally hit or drive up back up the middle or through a gap, as opposed to just straight up into the air. So I think there's still something off with Kike right now at the plate, but he's getting much better, and that is a good sign for this Red Sox offense. Coming out of the pen, we had Davis, Diekman, Robles, and Barnes, and the only one who really kind of had a bad outing in game 1 was Diekman, who overall just had a terrible series in general. But in game 1, he walked the bases loaded only to get taken out for Barnes, and Barnes kind of got lucky in this game. I'm not gonna lie, he kind of hung a curveball to Wander Franco, and Franco gets on top of it, and Trevor Story makes a fantastic play at second base to finish this game off. And without that, I think this game goes a completely different direction, but we end up squeaking out the win. And I want to say that this game was a good game because we won, but I don't know if we've had a good game so far this year where the Red Sox have been firing on all cylinders. I think there was one game against the Twins where we kind of were all set, but that didn't happen until the late innings. We've been squeaking out wins all year, and that has to change. Game 2, we saw the debut of Garrett Whitlock, and he was a treat. He is super fun to watch on the mound. He was electric, mowing guys down left and right. No one seemed to be able to touch him, and that was super exciting to watch. And makes me feel good for the future of this Red Sox rotation between him and Houck. The good news is we'll probably see him spot start a little bit more throughout the year, even as soon as next week with this Blue Jays series coming up, because guys on that rotation are not going to be making the trip to Toronto. As for the offense, I would show you guys clips, but nothing happened. The Red Sox got completely no hit through 9 innings, and it wasn't even like one singular pitcher was dominating this offense. No, every single pitcher coming out of the Tampa Bay's bullpen was absolutely destroying the Red Sox. In fact, the only clip I'm going to show is basically the only legitimate scoring hit in this game, and that was Bobby Dahlbeck's triple. And the only reason I'm showing that is because I'm hoping that this is what Bob needs to get out of his slump, because he has been really hard to watch at the plate so far this year. And there's only so much time you can take to let Bob get back into his form before you have to start thinking about bringing Cassis up. It's got to be on the mind of the front office right now, especially because Cassis is raking in the minors. We saw Davis, Crawford, Danish, and Robles out of the pen in this game, and I was super excited to see Crawford get a couple innings and not let up runs and not lose his control. He looked good, which is great for the Red Sox, because we need guys who like Whitlock who can eat a bunch of innings, because we can't put Whitlock out every single game, unfortunately. Danish also looked pretty good. Another guy who I think deserves a spot on this roster right now, and another guy we will see in Toronto because of the fact that there are going to be pitchers on that restricted list. Robles ended up giving up the game-winning home run to Kevin Kiermaier, of all people, because that's just how this series was. And honestly, I'm not going to fault Robles at all, because he probably should have been out of the game. Trevor Story saved the first game, but completely blew the second game after he makes a good play on a ground ball that would have been the last out, but overthrows it, and the next batter, boom, game over. And this game was just so hard to watch with the state of this offense right now, especially after Garrett Whitlock makes such an electric first start of his career. I just feel bad for him. He came out swinging, and then offense just flat out did nothing to help him. Moving on to game 3, we saw Rich Hill finish this series off, and like most of these starting pitchers in this series, he looked pretty good too. He went 4 innings, allowed no runs. He's still a heart attack to watch on that mound, but if he continues to perform fairly well and keep the game close, I'm perfectly okay with him in this rotation so far. I think once we get Paxton or Sale back, whoever ends up back first, he will be making his way to the bullpen, but for now, I'm okay with him being in this rotation. As for the offense, this was the most typical 2022 Red Sox offensive game. We had Alex Verdugo and Kike Hernandez, who drove in 2 runs at the top of the first, both on singles, and then nothing. 6 hits over 9 innings, no runs after that. They fell on their face like they have been doing all year so far. And like I've been saying, this needs to change, especially coming up with the Blue Jays series. As for the bullpen, this was a tough game for the bullpen. Valdez had a tough outing. He allowed 3 runs with just getting 1 out, and I was super upset seeing this. He had been doing so well all year. I was really excited to see him kind of move into a more high leverage situation role, and I still think he can, but it was just tough to watch. With his first high leverage situation, he blows it a little bit. Brazier and Barnes were Brazier and Barnes, and Diekman, I don't know what is going on with Diekman in this series, but his first pitch is a wild pitch, which brings in a run, and then he's just standing around home plate, not paying attention, and it almost allows the runner from second to get all the way to home. Luckily, he's able to put the tag down, but man, Diekman, what is going on? And then finally, they bring in Tanner Houck, who shuts down the Rays, and my question is, why didn't they put Tanner Houck in, who we all knew was ready to go from the bullpen this series? Cora had talked about the fact that he was going to be piggybacking Hill. Instead, they put him in when it's 5-2, which is a 3-run lead for the Rays, which right now for the Red Sox offense is insurmountable. Why wouldn't you put Houck in when we have the lead and let him eat a bunch of the middle innings? It just doesn't make sense to me. The last thing I want to do regarding this series is I do want to start giving out a series MVP, and of course I picked the worst series of the year to do this, but I'm going to choose Garrett Whitlock, mostly because, like I said, he was the most exciting thing to come out of this series. All in all, this series was weird, and this series was miserable. It's still early, and I really don't think anyone should be pushing any panic buttons just yet. Obviously, there are things that need to get going for this Red Sox team to work. Like I've been saying over and over again, this isn't something that you can fix by sending guys down or bringing guys up. The only person that should be sent down at this point, Travis Shaw, but that's another story. This is just a matter of a very, very slow start for this offense. They need to get it picked up soon, though. In my opinion, you've got 2 more series to really get the bats going, or you are going to be in a pretty deep hole in this AL East pretty early on. And with the competitive nature of this division, it's going to be hard to dig out of that hole. The only bright spot, in my opinion, of this series is the fact that our pitching throughout the year, and in this series specifically, has for the most part been able to keep games close and keep games winnable. And if they can continue to do that all year and this offense heats up, I'm really excited to see what this team can do, but this team needs to get hot quick. Let me know all your thoughts on this game down below. What was your favorite part of this series? What was your least favorite part of this series? What do you think is working for the Red Sox now? What do you think is not working? Let me know everything down below. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button. We are only about 40 total subscribers away from 1,000, so let's see if we can get there by the end of April. Also, make sure you guys are hitting that like button as well. It helps out these videos a ton and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Go Sox, and I will see you in the next one.